Welcome back to English Evolution. I am Bella, and today we are talking about something every English learner in Ireland experiences.
And I am Rick. And yeah, today we're talking about strong Irish accents.
Which can be very charming and very confusing.
Yeah, because sometimes you think you understand English until someone from Ireland starts speaking very fast.
That is very true.
I remember one of the first times I experienced that.
Where were you?
I was in a cafe ordering coffee.
That sounds simple enough.
That's what I thought too.
So what happened?
The guy behind the counter asked me something, but he spoke really fast.
And you did not understand him?
Not even a little bit.
That bad?
Yeah, I just stood there smiling.
Classic survival strategy.
Exactly. But inside my head, I was completely lost.
Did you ask him to repeat?
At first, no.
Why not?
Because I felt embarrassed.
That's very common.
Yeah, I did not want him to think my English was bad.
But understanding accents is very different from understanding English. So what did you do?
I just guessed and said yes.
Oh no.
Yeah, and it was the wrong answer.
What was he asking?
He was asking if I wanted milk.
And what did you think he said?
Honestly, I have no idea.
That must have been confusing.
Yeah, because then he looked at me strangely.
And then?
Then he repeated it more slowly.
And then you understood.
Exactly.
That must have felt much better.
Yeah, and after that, I realized I should just ask people to repeat.
Because pretending usually creates more confusion. Did it become easier over time?
Yeah, slowly, because I got used to hearing different accents.
And listening is something you improve with practice. And that first experience taught you something important.
Yeah, never pretend you understood when you did not.
Why do you think pretending makes things worse?
Because then you answer the wrong thing and create an even more awkward situation.
Which is exactly what happened with the milk question.
Exactly.
Did that happen to you more than once?
Oh yeah, many times in the beginning.
Can you remember another situation?
Yeah, one time a coworker asked me something in a really strong accent during a busy shift.
And did you understand that time?
No, not at all.
What did you do?
I said, "Sorry, could you say that again?"
That's a very natural phrase.
Yeah, and he repeated it more slowly.
And then you understood?
Yeah, and it turned out to be something very simple.
What was it?
He was asking where the glasses were.
That's not too complicated.
Exactly, but in that moment, it sounded impossible to understand.
Strong accents can do that.
Yeah, because sometimes it feels like people are speaking a completely different language.
Especially when they speak quickly.
Exactly. Speed makes everything harder.
Did you become less embarrassed about asking people to repeat?
Yeah, because I realized most people do not mind repeating themselves.
That's very true.
Yeah, people are usually happy to help if they see you are trying.
And that takes away some pressure.
Exactly.
Did listening to Irish people every day help?
Yeah, definitely. Because after a while, your ears start getting used to it.
Like training a muscle.
Exactly.
Were some accents easier than others?
Yeah, Dublin accents were easier for me than some stronger country accents.
That makes sense.
Yeah, sometimes I felt like I understood about 20%.
Only 20?
On a bad day, maybe less.
But you improved with time.
Yeah, slowly, but definitely.
And that's important for people listening to hear.
Exactly, because if you do not understand at first, it does not mean your English is bad.
It just means your ears need more practice. And that comes with time. You just need patience.
And the courage to keep asking people to repeat themselves.
It's interesting how understanding accents has so much to do with confidence.
Yeah, because if you lose confidence, you stop asking questions.
And then what happens?
Then you start pretending you understand, and that usually creates more problems.
That's very true.
Yeah, because people think you understand, so they keep talking quickly.
And then you feel even more lost.
Exactly.
So asking people to repeat is actually a good habit.
Yeah, and it's much better than pretending.
What are some natural phrases people can use?
You can say, "Sorry, could you repeat that?" Or, "Sorry, I didn't catch that."
Those sound very natural.
Exactly, and people use those phrases all the time.
Even native speakers?
Yeah, native speakers ask people to repeat things all the time.
That's important to remember.
Exactly, because understanding accents is difficult for everyone sometimes.
Especially in noisy places.
Exactly. Pubs, cafes, buses, all of those places make listening harder.
Did you ever feel frustrated?
Yeah, sometimes, especially when I had to ask people to repeat things more than once.
That can feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, because you start thinking there is something wrong with your English.
But there usually is not.
Exactly. It's just part of adapting to a new accent.
And adaptation takes time.
Exactly.
So if someone listening feels embarrassed because they cannot understand an accent,
Just remember that it's completely normal.
and it does not mean your English is bad.
It just means you need more exposure,
More listening,
more conversations.
and maybe a little more patience.
Definitely.
Because little by little, it becomes easier.
Exactly.
Step by step,
Conversation by conversation.
and accent by accent.
Exactly.
That's how listening improves.
And that's how fluency improves too.
Because every difficult conversation teaches you something,
Exactly.
even the confusing ones.
Especially the confusing ones.
Because those are the conversations you remember, and those confusing moments often become the most valuable learning experiences.
Yeah, because they push you out of your comfort zone.
And that's where growth happens.
Exactly. When things feel a bit uncomfortable, you are actually improving.
That's a very important mindset.
Yeah, because if everything is easy, you are probably not learning much.
So, discomfort can be a good sign.
Exactly.
Did your mindset change over time?
Yeah, I stopped feeling frustrated and started seeing those moments as practice.
That makes a big difference.
Yeah, because now when I don't understand something, I stay calm.
And what do you do instead?
I just ask politely, "Sorry, could you repeat that?" Or, "Could you say that a bit slower?"
Those are perfect phrases.
Exactly. Simple and natural.
And people usually respond well?
Yeah, almost always, people are very understanding.
That helps build confidence.
Exactly. Because you realize you don't need to understand everything immediately.
Understanding comes with time.
Exactly.
So, what would you say to someone struggling with Irish accents right now?
Be patient, keep listening, and don't be afraid to ask people to repeat.
And don't take it personally.
Exactly. It's not about your ability, it's about exposure.
The more you hear it, the easier it becomes.
Exactly.
Step by step.
Conversation by conversation.
And accent by accent. If you enjoyed this episode,
Like the video, comment, and share it with someone learning English.
and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye!